What do you learn most in general as a pro gamer? If you could go back in time, what would you redo slash improve on? I don't even know. Maybe retire even earlier. I will say I'm not a fan of games that have like a definite meta. It's something that's hard to like do, but the way that I viewed Valorant, it would be like, oh, Valorant's like very dynamic and stuff. And I think it's like super interesting. And like you could play like off meta characters and like get really good at them to be like harder to read and stuff. But Valorant is a very meta game, and that's just by nature. Like, if Chamber's broken, you should play Chamber. If Astra's broken, you should play Astra. If Neon is broken, you should play Neon. It's kind of like that kind of situation where you have to play whatever like comp and stuff. So on that end, I don't really enjoy it for that aspect. I do like the creativity that you can get with the game. But yeah, if I knew the game was going to be like, oh, 1 year was going to be a full Chamber meta, the next year was going to be, bro, it was the Harbor meta. It was the Harbor Sky bullshit spam meta. If I knew the game was going to be like that, 100% retire earlier. Because that shit was the most unfun, most ridiculous gameplay I've ever seen in my entire life. 2022, Chamber was broken as fuck. But my god, I think the most unfun to play, most unfun to watch, the most uninspiring gameplay I've ever seen in my entire life was 2023 gameplay. Especially on Pearl. Bro, that shit was just awful to watch and awful to play. Bro, imagine dying through smokes most of the time and not even having a chance to kill someone. It feels awful. And it looks even worse. I've said this before. I think people have different opinions on it. I personally think that a game that allows a team to be like a super strong team and have like a dynasty, I think is actually more beautiful than random ass gameplay. Like if a team can just random their way to like a tournament win and just completely fall off, I think there's something wrong there. Whereas I think Valorant's a very by nature random game. And there's so many like moving pieces constantly that it's hard to be consistent. Like don't be surprised if a lot of the teams that you saw last year that did really, really well just don't do as well anymore. And that's just because that's just the nature of the game. The meta is going to keep changing. The meta will keep evolving. And whatever teams can either adapt to the newest meta or evolve more than the other teams will just end up winning. Val's more tactical than CS. No, Val's not more tactical than CS. Val is just more dynamic. I mean, like if you're talking about tactical, by definition, CS would be the most tactical game out there. Maybe Rainbow Six could compete with that, but I don't know. I personally think it's fun to watch a dynasty and a team that like constantly can win everything. What game is harder to play? They're both pretty hard. I mean, I think you could take a CS player, put them on Valorant. They're gonna have a frustrating time. You can put a Valorant player onto CS. They'll get hard shit on most of the time. I mean, it's just because CS mechanics are way more like in depth, like your individual mechanics and stuff. But I mean, it's also like CS is a game about not making mistakes, and whoever makes the least amount of mistakes will win the game. So that's why it doesn't have the dynamic depth to it. Whereas Valorant is just a lot of stuff going on your screen. Whoever can adapt to whatever's happening wins. And sometimes you'll just win by being more lucky than the other team. But I will say, like as a game, I do think honestly CS2 is kind of cool with like the nades and the smokes and shit. But I do think there is an aspect of CS that is stale that people that have played it for a long time kind of feel sometimes. But I do think the smoke changes definitely shakes up a lot of shit and allows you to do way more like cooler and newer strats. So I do think that part is cool. CS added a rock, paper, scissors kind of deal with utility. Yeah, I mean, CS is just very like fundamental. CS is like chess. League is like chess as well. To a degree, yes. It's actually crazy to think about. The esport that has the least amount of randomness to it is actually League. I think League of Legends has basically zero RNG. Like, I mean, even there's some RNG to like CS even, but I actually do think like a MOBA, you don't have any like RNG that affects you. That's why Faker can win multiple years, multiple worlds